All right, so we've let our sponge do its thing, and I'll give y'all a peek as to what's happening here. But you can see that there's bubbles. And that's what we're looking for, is to make sure that that yeast was activated and doing its thing. So you can see the bubbles in there, the yeast is working. We want to, just make sure that it's doing its job before we start adding all those other ingredients in there. So it's time to stick it on the mixer, and I'm not the best at operating this camera in selfie mode, doing this. So what I may wind up doing is turning it off and just holding the camera. I don't have a very good setup, but I'm using a KitchenAid mixer. It's the smallest one. It was my mom's. It's 100 years old. And a dough hook. This is a dough hook, and that's all we're going to use. So far we've used 1 cup of water, all the sugar that we need, all the yeast that we need. We want to add in our fat, and we want to add in our salt. But again, we don't want to put the salt on top of that yeast, so it's kind of a layering process. I'm going to throw in a couple of handfuls of flour. I'm going to stick the butter in there and stir that up, and then I'm going to throw my salt in before I forget it, because sometimes that happens. But that's all of our ingredients. We've got the bulk of them already in our sponge. We're going to add a little bit of flour just to kind of give it some texture, so it's not all water, so the butter has something to grab a hold of. Now that butter needs to be soft. It doesn't have to be melted, but it does need to be soft. You don't want to put hard butter in there, because it'll be more of a pastry when you're done, because it's got chunks of butter in there instead of melted fat, basically. So my butter, my ice maker puts out very warm air on the exhaust side, and so the butter's been sitting over there, and it's very, very soft. So that'll be easy. And I do not measure. I think 1 stick is a half a cup. So we're going to stick the whole stick in there. I'm just going to throw it in there along with a couple of handfuls of flour. I'm going to move my salt over here to where I can see it so I don't forget, because it's easy to forget something that isn't sitting out. But as you can see, that butter is very, very soft. I'm going to throw that in there. A couple of handfuls of flour, just to give it something to grab a hold of. Probably all total, I've put in there probably a cup of flour so far, between the sponge and the handful that I just threw in there. But I'll bring you over here so you can kind of see what's happening. See, this is why I shouldn't do selfie mode, but I just threw that in there so you can see. It's going to get loud. I don't know if you've noticed, but I don't have any room in this camper whatsoever to do anything, so I am precariously perched on the edge of my sink. So I'm going to turn you off so I can put it into regular mode, and then that way you can actually see what's going on, because I never know where the actual camera part is, and it'll just be a whole bunch of where's my camera. You don't need to see my face anyway. So on to the next.